Hey, what's up, everybody?
Good evening, folks.
It's
How are ya?
Wes, Andy, and Hank back here for our next installment of The High Ground. This is our beat for beat breakdown of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, now streaming on Disney Plus. Tonight, it's part 3. Once again, Andy, you're in the hot seat this week.
Mm-hmm.
I was away over the weekend, so I could not keep up with my duties.
So it's
Yeah,
Comic-Con.
Niagara Falls Comic-Con. It was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
Surprisingly, Saturday, not as many people as I expected that there would be, considering that they were honoring 2020 ticket holders. So
Oh.
it was good. I on a other franchise note, I sat in on William Shatner's panel, which was bizarre because I think he's going senile.
Uh-oh.
However, I
He's
did.
It's like 91, right?
He is 90. Yeah. He did talk about going to space. Not a whole lot though. But the mayor of Niagara Falls was there to present him with a key to the city, and the key was a one of a kind key made by a local artist. And then he immediately turned around, autographed it, and auctioned it off to charity in the room during the panel.
Wow.
The opening bid came in at $5,000.
Oh.
And the winning bid took it for $16,500 towards William Shatner's equine therapy charity that he supports.
How much money do people bring? To
I was
this?
just like,
I know I
who's
don't
chilling
bring that much.
Comic-Con with 16
Yeah.
grand? That's
Yeah.
Well, this is I'm like
What are you expecting to find there?
I'm like, so I hope you make the checkout in Canadian dollars.
Yeah,
oh, man.
American funds only.
It was fun though, lots of fun. I got to make a couple of stops on our location hunt.
Nice.
So I picked up some video footage for one of the locations that I'll just keep that quiet. And I got some really great footage of the falls, which will feature in a future episode of Fandom Power when we talk about locations and sets.
It's coming.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it was a great weekend though. Thank you very much.
Excellent. So I guess we should get right into it here.
Yeah.
So this week's episode, it has a runtime of 47 minutes and 9 seconds with the recap and credits, or 39 minutes, 18 seconds without. So
it's still a long one.
It's
still a relatively long one. I mean
it moves very fast though.
The whole no wipes thing.
Yeah.
It's very apparent that they are moving each episode at a very intentional pacing. Yeah.
The synopsis for this one reads: Obi-Wan searches for allies as he attracts the attention of the Empire, threatening the locals. And again, this episode was directed by Deborah Chow, written by Joby Harold, Hannah Friedman, Hussein Amini, and Stuart Beatty.
I guess we should throw out a happy belated birthday to Vivian Lara Blair.
Yes, we should.
Who just turned 10, by the way.
There you go.
On June 4th. So just
too old to play herself now.
Yeah, that's right. She's aged out of the role.
Yeah.
Nah, she's got a long time to go.
What do we think about this episode before we get into the breakdown? Thematically, what do you guys think?
Deep episode.
Yeah. I've it's been
Fear
a while.
seems to be
It's been a while since I was a little bit unnerved watching something, like scared, like,
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just binge watched Stranger Things. So I think they handled what we're going to talk about, what the dark side elephant in the room, if you will. They handled his entrance very well because it was quite unnerving to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there was definitely some horror vibes going on throughout.
I picked up a couple of online comments, not directed at us, but I picked up on a couple of online comments that actually made reference to, hope the kids out there who are watching this are, parentally supervised.
Yeah. I found too, part of what was disconcerting to me was the lack of Vader's theme. And because, and not in a good way, not in a bad way, but in a way where that theme, when I see him, I associate that Imperial March with him, and the opening notes to his theme with him, and it's almost safe. So untethering Vader from his theme, was really effective at making me feel unsafe.
I mean, I don't want to get too far into it before we get to the moment in the episode, but to see a Vader that is more akin to what we know him to have been in Star Wars Legends is satisfying on a level as a fan, but as you say, it is unnerving as a viewer seeing that level of evil.
Mm-hmm.
Rightly earning his place on all of those top 10 movie villain lists, by the way.
Yeah.
Man,
Hard to see the good that was left in him.
Yeah.
At this particular juncture.
Well, instead, let's not blow it all at the front end. Let's. Anything else you want to get off your chest before we roll on?
No, let's get into it.
All right then.
So we open our episode this week, and Obi-Wan is deep in meditation on the floor of the cargo transport that he and Leia escaped from Daiyu on in the previous episode. And again, he calls out for Qui-Gon. But then the information revealed to him by the third sister, it's ringing out through his head. He's alive, Obi-Wan. And then we commence like a host of snap cuts back and forth in Obi's mind. And, cutting from there over, we get to see some of the most in-depth assembly of Vader's cybernetics and armor that we've ever seen in live media.
I think this is the most detail we've seen since his surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And even then the surgery was kind of tame because it was a slap a few limbs on him. And
yeah. And this, like, you get to see, we see the prosthetic arms and legs and back armor, the voice modulator, and all the while, Obi-Wan still deep in his meditation. He's disturbed, like visibly disturbed, reliving snippets and getting vocals from Qui-Gon and Yoda and Anakin.
Yeah.
And as we approach like the final edition of that iconic helmet, we're also privy to some of the aspects of that armor that, as we've noted previously on the show, stimulate his pain and keep his rage flowing.
Well, I was going to say those prongs on the back of the chest box did not look 100% wholly medical in nature.
No.
And the angle they approach him with all the other equipment, they all have those kind of connections. The helm goes deep into his skull. Disturbing. I love it.
The whole he's more machine than man now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the depth of those prongs. We're talking there's a couple of inches there.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they connecting to? There has to be some internal replacements as well.
Oh, they go on to say that, yes, there is a lot of internal organ replacement.
Yeah.
And these prongs have like a double use, if you will. One, a lot of them like connect to his nervous system and monitor his vitals and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then the other is just to stimulate that pain.
I mean, the nervous system is a two-way street, right? I mean, not only do you get a receive information, but you can transmit to it as well, right? So,
in the comics, they make it pretty clear that this isn't the most modern tech either available. Like the Emperor basically gave him this outfit because it's a bit archaic and primitive. Like it's torturous to wear. It's heavy. It hurts.
Well, that's an interesting point. You make a good point because we see later on, Luke Skywalker with a fully flesh and blood prosthesis.
Mm-hmm.
We see a character like General Grievous, who's a 100% droid conversion, and his form, albeit 100% droid, is a lot more elegant looking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But as the helmet finally lowers onto Anakin, it snaps back and Obi-Wan's eyes open wide, and we hear that trademark as the breathing kicks in, and simultaneously Ben's thoughts ring out, "He's coming, Master."
Again, I think that touches back to what you had said last week, Hank, about that recognition, about being able to sense each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
And then we cut back and we find ourselves on Mustafar, and we get our first live action interpretation of Vader's castle as it cuts into the skyline above the flowing lava rivers. And that booming voice sternly asks, "Where is he?"
Oh, yeah.
And there's no mistaking it. It's James Earl Jones back. But we find out that the third sister is delivering news to Vader via hologram. And she relays that they have probes out covering all possible escape routes, and Obi-Wan will pay for what happened to the Grand Inquisitor. She leads it like she's about to say for the Grand Inquisitor's death, but he cuts her off, stating the Grand Inquisitor means nothing. Kenobi is all that matters.
Well, it's interesting that she actually puts that out there, because I think we talked about at the end of our last part that that's her only option, is to make it out that Obi-Wan is the one that killed him.
Yeah.
But apparently that doesn't mean anything to Vader.
It does not mean anything to him. He also goes on to tell her that he's been watching her and he knows what she seeks. And then he offers reward. If she can prove herself, the position of Grand Inquisitor will be hers. But if she should fail, she won't live to regret it.
Is that the line? You won't live to regret it?
Yep.
Or you will live to regret it?
No, he tells her you won't
live to regret it. Okay, yeah. That kind of makes sense.
But he rises from his throne and strides to the window that's overlooking this hellish landscape. And we cut back on the ship. And Obi-Wan's tinkering with something as Leia wakes up. And in typical kid fashion, she's like, "Are we there yet? And can't you go make this thing go any faster?" And Ben replies, "It's a trade route. There's nothing it can do." But she fires back, "Can't you use the Force on it or something?"
Yeah.
And this question is kind of reminiscent of Finn when he suggested, we'll just use the Force to rescue Rey. And Han shot him down like, it doesn't work that way. And Ben, he simply replies, "That's not how it works."
Get our first comment here coming in tonight from Facebook, and it's Sean. Sean says, did the Emperor make the suit to keep Vader in pain all the time, to keep him more focused on the dark side?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a straight up yes.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's a yes. While we're still sort of floating around Vader, do you want to talk about that voice for a minute?
Yeah, we can talk about that.
Okay. Reese Beecher for the win. Reese Beecher, the company that was brought in for the Mandalorian that helped process Mark Hamill's voice to make him sound younger, also brought in to help James Earl Jones. Now that is James Earl Jones speaking, but it is processed by Reese Beecher. And I had said to you guys earlier this week that it is way less uncanny valley than it was with Mark Hamill. What do you guys think of Vader's voice?
Loved it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It didn't pull me out at all.
No,
like it was.
There's parts of Rebels where it pulls me out a bit because he sounds a lot. He's obviously a lot older, right?
Yeah.
And so,
unassisted.
Right. And so no, it was crisp. Like,
have you guys gone back and checked out Rogue One between this episode and now?
I have not.
No, I haven't.
So I guess there's a significant difference from how he sounds in Rogue One. I have yet to go back and take a listen to it myself, and already I've heard fans sort of clamoring for, can we get a Reese Beecher assisted redub of his dialogue in that movie? So yeah, but the voice was just fantastic this week. Very akin to very crisp, very enunciative. He's enunciating very well.
Yeah.
Almost ESB vibes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And another point about him, like even the way he jumps out of that throne, he's not stiff. He's still young and mobile.
Yeah, he's quite spry.
Yeah.
We'll see more of that later on.
Yes, we will.
In the showdown, I guess. Yep. The showcase showdown.
But back to the ship, Leia, she innocently questions, how does the Force, how does it work? What does it feel like? And Ben pauses for a moment and turns to her and says, "Have you ever been afraid of the dark?" And she nods her head, yes. Then he asks, "How do you feel when you turn the light on?" And she says she feels safe. And Obi-Wan tells her, yes, that's what it feels like.
That's got to be one of the best analogies of the Force ever.
Yeah, for a child, even one as beyond her years, it's the fantastic description of the Force.
Hats off to whoever came up with that line.
Yeah, it's real good.
Because they're using a feeling rather than a long-winded explanation.
Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but there's like a little look of recognition on her face when he says that, and it's almost like, okay, I've touched the Force then.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know whether she's that tremendous an actress or, it's likely.
I don't know about you guys. I don't know about you guys, but I found myself sitting on I'm sitting on my chair watching this, and she's talking about what it's like, and I'm like, don't worry, you're gonna find out not too long.
Right.
It's only gonna be a few more years, and you'll figure it right out.
Yeah.
But Obi-Wan, he then extends his hand and he passes a newly fixed Lola back to Leia, who gleefully accepts it and says, "You fixed her." She then presses the button and the little droid springs to life, and she gives Ben a sincere thank you. But the moment is short-lived because the ship shakes and it's preparing to enter its landing approach.
Right.
So we get an exterior shot of the transport, and it's on its way to an atmospheric planet with vast red land masses. And as the ship flies closer to the surface, it passes by some heavy mining operations where we can assume the Empire is strip mining the place for its resources. The landing gear opens up, and once on the ground, a loading ramp folds down, and an industrial mining droid comes over to inspect the latest shipment. There's also an R5 unit running around.
Yeah.
And other flying droids dismount from the ceiling of the craft and begin to offload the cargo. They're kind of similar to the lava droids we saw on Mustafar, but
They are similar. I kind of thought, and I'm gonna put this one to you, Hank. The two armed hover droids there that are loading. Have we seen those in Rebels before?
I think so. That's what I was about to say. I think we've seen some sort of iteration of that in Rebels.
Yeah. There's a reference at some point in the episode that refers to that droid, the same model of droid that we find out to be Ned B, as a load lifter.
Yeah.
They specifically reference him as a load lifter.
Yeah.
And we all know that reference, right?
Yeah.
3PO's first job was programming binary load lifters.
Very similar to your evaporators in most respects.
Fantastic.
So as the industrial mining droid supervises the cargo droids, Obi-Wan and Leia, they quietly exit the ship and slip away. And as we pan across the landscape, we see two stormtroopers and a stopped hover cart full of Vintrium. Vintrium was a type of mineral valued at 500 credits per gram. And previously, it's appeared in the online multiplayer video games Star Wars Clone Wars Adventures, and Star Wars Galaxies and Empire Divided, both developed by Sony Online Entertainment.
The only online MMO that I've ever played, and is both the best and worst video game of all time. Not at the same time.
Okay.
It got hammed up when they broke it. They broke it. That's a show for another time.
Fair enough.
It's also highly flammable, apparently.
It is. We catch up, though, and we find Ben and Leia walking along a dusty path, and they're surrounded by spiky plant life. Leia asks, "Where are we?" And Ben replies, "Mapuzo."
I was thinking New Mexico, Southern California.
Maybe.
Hey, this is a mining operation.
It is.
I totally got the whole. I mean, we talked last week about the Sabak card, and I'm like, maybe it is a Lando reference to a mining planet,
right?
Especially given Lando's whole thing about having a run-in with with the mining guild. That didn't work
out. This is not the first time this planet has come up. It was first mentioned in canon in part 2. But this is the first time we actually see the planet. In Legends continuity, though, the Mapuzo system was first mentioned in the 2009 reference book, The Essential Atlas, that was authored by Daniel Wallace and Jason Fry.
Nice.
So it's been around for a couple years. Ben remarks that the meeting point is further north, and as long as Haja was telling the truth, but Leia, she jumps in and she questions, why would he lie? And he snaps at her. He's like, not all people are good, Leia.
Yeah. He really
snaps
really lets her have it in this one. Yeah.
And perhaps noting his own tone was too harsh, he does point out that Mapuzo wasn't always like this. There used to be fields and families here, and then the Empire came in and ravaged it all, leaving the harsh environment they're in now.
Yeah.
And they look around, they see stormtroopers harassing locals, more droids moving cargo. And Leia says, I thought the Empire was supposed to be helping us. But Ben replies, well, some are like your dad, but it seems like it's a losing battle these days. And he stops as he spots a cloaked figure up ahead.
So we all had this conversation behind scenes, or
Mhm.
behind the curtain, as it were.
Right.
Anybody? I don't know, Andy. You had a thought. Actually, you asked the question. Was that a hallucination?
I'm thinking maybe, but it could also be a force projection.
Where are you at with it, Hank?
At first, I thought, because I didn't know what was coming, I thought it was a hallucination, like more of his PTSD manifesting.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
now, watching it about 13 times, I'm pretty convinced that that's Vader looking for him. And I don't know if it's like the Luke Skywalker force projecting, but I think it's like an element. I think it. So yes, it's a hallucination. So it's in Obi-Wan's mind, but it's actually physically Vader, in his mind, if you will.
I think I'm somewhere down the middle with you guys. I think on some level that his state of mind, his current mental health is definitely a contributing factor. But I also believe that it ties back into what Yoda had told Luke on Dagobah, that the Force can show you the past, but it can also show you the future. And I think that this is the Force showing him the past.
To prep him for the future.
That, or, this is what he's seeing in response to the current emotional duress that he's under.
Based on the info he was just told.
Yeah.
For me, it's the turning and looking at him.
Yeah. Very clearly Hayden, by the way.
Yeah,
very clearly.
We got our second comment here from Sean. Apparently, first thought was Jar Jar.
Jar Jar. Not even Darth Jar Jar, just Jar Jar.
Well,
Misa don't think so.
Somebody in a Jedi robe. It could be the guy who was waiting for him,
That's true.
Unfortunately, it wasn't, though. And as the figure turns, to Ben's disbelief, it's an unburned Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
And Leia, she calls out to him multiple times, turning his attention away from the figure. And Ben puts his hand on her shoulder, and when he looks back, Anakin's gone.
Yeah.
And he tells her, you got to stay close as they continue on. So maybe he's sensing those Darth Vader vibes, but
I think so.
Switching gears, though, we cut to the Inquisitor's scythe on approach to a greenish planet. And as it nears the surface, we see we're on approach to the Fortress Inquisitorius. And I think this is the first time outside of the trailer that we're seeing this fortress in live action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's right as well.
Yeah, it was first mentioned in the 2017 comic series of Star Wars Darth Vader, issue 20, released August 2018, and debuted visually in the 2019 video game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, released by Respawn Entertainment.
We'll get to see a lot of that from lots of interiors, lots of underwater.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the same sequence right out of the trailer too. Also, we get a little confirmation. I guess we get to the interior. I'll wait till we get to the interior because I want to talk about that for a second too. But
fair enough. As the Inquisitor ship lands, the third sister, she walks down the ramp and into the base. We see various other ships on the landing platform, including an Imperial Lambda class T4A.
Yep.
TIE fighters hanging from the ceiling, and possibly a huge Easter egg that you came up with, Wes.
Mm-hmm.
This has been bothering me since the trailer, because we saw those the Imperial landing boats, the same ones we saw in The Mandalorian. That was absolutely no question of that, which we get a much closer view of them. Yes, they are the landing boats. But then there are these other ships with the folded wings. And we kind of thought, well, superficially, maybe they're more Inquisitorius shuttles, but they are definitely not that. And as we can see behind that Imperial officer, they bear a striking resemblance to the unproduced Kenner Toys mini rig, the Millennium Falcon cargo handler. So, I mean, I don't have a confirmation one way or the other from Lucasfilm, and I cannot find another source to corroborate this. But I mean, as I'm going through every possible ship that I'm aware of, both Legends and canon, there was nothing that fit the bill until I came across these photos of the mini rig. unproduced mini rig was meant to fit between the mandibles of the Millennium Falcon, by the way.
Yeah, and like that's a Corellian ship. It's not
Yeah,
exclusive to Han Solo, so
No, of
there are
course
more
not.
of these things floating around out there.
I mean, it even has the same the same angle on the wing, on the backside of the wing. And I'm like, well, if you took that mini rig and you folded the wings up,
Yep.
there's a very striking similarity there. So it'd be interesting to see if we get a confirmation on that, an official confirmation from Lucasfilm. But for now, Kenner Toys fans, I'm going with the Millennium Falcon mini rig as our mystery ship.
It's a pretty good bet.
So inside, we find Riva walking on an underwater level, and we see hordes of stormtroopers and various military officers going about. Large doors open up, and Riva strides into the meeting room, and it's not lost on me.
Yeah,
she is framed by the chair of the Grand Inquisitor.
Right, because now there's the other point. We'd had this discussion about the chair, and there was this question of, is that Vader's chair when he's visiting?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
because of the way that it mirrors Vader's castle.
True.
No, it is not. It is indeed the Grand Inquisitor's chair.
We do get some confirmation from the fifth brother here in a second, but she relays to him and the fourth sister that Obi-Wan is in one of the mining systems. And the fifth brother, he scoffs at her, saying, "You can't know that." But confidently, she tells him, "I traced the manifest, and they should be sending all remaining probe droids out." But the fifth brother, again, is having none of it, snarling at Riva that you're not in charge here. And using the Force, he causes her to bow to him.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how he does that, right? Like, there's this, once again, we get this whole, like, there is a pecking order, and your place is never guaranteed.
Yeah. And it's what he says next, though. He goes on to tell her, that seat is mine, not yours.
Yeah.
I'm next in line.
Yeah.
And as he releases Riva, she rubs her stomach and tells the others that she just spoke to Lord Vader. And in disbelief, he's like, You spoke to him yourself?
Yeah.
And she replies, he asked me to lead the hunt, unless you think I should follow your orders instead. And then she gets a little bit of bass in her voice and gets some proper command going, and she tells them, send the probes out now. And reluctantly, the other two Inquisitors, they rise to fulfill the request. But the fifth brother grimly states, I will get what I deserve, third sister, and so will you.
So now that's two Inquisitors over two different episodes who have both used the line, I will get what I deserve.
Yeah.
Is that going to be a through line for all the Inquisitors?
Maybe.
I mean, he thinks he deserves the head of the Inquisitorius.
Well, they're definitely all out for themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
I said last episode, it's in their minds that it's a shortcut to becoming his secret apprentice.
Yeah. Oh, so they all want to be Starkiller.
Maybe.
Essentially. Yeah. I mean, that's inherent in this sort of Sith mindset, right?
Yeah.
So as the other two leave, Riva, she quietly acknowledges that statement with, I hope so. And it's good to note here, upon his exit, the fifth brother is also framed by that chair.
Yeah, like right between the uprights.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, they're definitely setting these two up to go for that position should,
well,
Rupert Friend not return.
We know that he makes it because we see him in Rebels.
Yeah.
We don't see the ladies.
No.
A different lady we see, but not these two.
But we go on down to another room within the fortress, and we see that there's a corridor full of mechanized arms, and they're loading metallic pods into smoky tubes. And once loaded, the cylinders from above lower and lock them into place. We follow the trajectory up the obelisk, and we see 3 pods fire off into space, each heading in a different direction. Probe droids are on their way.
Well, I gotta say, we were wrong again. This is not a flashback to Obi-Wan and Yoda heading off into exile in escape pods that we thought was in the trailer. That being said, though, when we see probe droids getting fired out of the Star Destroyer at the beginning of Empire Strikes Back, not hard to imagine that this is the process that they go through, this automated loading them in and then shoot them at the end.
Kind of a phallic symbol, though.
Well, there is that. Fireworks?
Maybe. We catch up with Obi-Wan and Leia putting together a backstory, and if anybody asks, they're farmers from Tall, and she is his daughter. They arrive at the coordinates, but there's nothing around, nobody to meet. And Leia ponders, maybe they're just late. But Ben, he quickly blurts out, maybe it was a lie. I knew it. I never should have trusted him. Leia, though, she remains optimistic. But Ben, he's a tad more cynical, stating outright, there's no one coming.
Man, he's getting like there's almost is there like a general paranoia about him?
Yeah. He's definitely hitting crusty old man stage.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But
well, and you know the line from the very beginning of the episode, he's coming, master. So he's
on edge.
Like, yeah, and the paranoia is going to spin tighter too, you know, like till it comes to a head.
But Leia, though, she pauses for a moment and then says, you know, if we're on our own, we're going to need some help. And then she proceeds to flag down a passing transport vehicle as they run towards the road.
Remember,
Ben tells her again, don't say anything. And he's visibly distressed because this is a dangerous play, right? As the repulsor craft comes to a stop, though, completely disregarding what he just said, she blurts out, "Hi, I'm Luma. This is my father."
There's almost a garbage chute moment here, you know, that whole, you know, the whole I'm in charge thing. And now she's like, screw this. I'm just taking charge.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then she blurts out, "We're farmers from Tall." And the driver, who is a mole-like creature, responds with a friendly, "Hey there, I'm Freck." Being spurred on by Leia, though, Ben gives Freck a brief hello. And he doesn't even say hello there, just hello.
Yeah. Hello.
But Leia continues telling Freck that we were on a trip and we got lost. And Freck, who is played by actor-director Zach Braff, he finds this a little suspicious, but Ben takes over at this point, noting that they were just trying to get to the nearest spaceport. And he relays that he's heading that way so he can give him a ride. But Ben insists, you know, we only need directions. And in true child fashion again, Leia cuts him off and says, "Father, haven't we walked enough?" And then she thanks Freck as she's already on the way to the back of the ship. And, Ben follows, but as he gets to the back, he spies an Imperial logo painted on a black banner. And relenting, he climbs aboard and they travel down the road.
I thought we had a reference for his species.
I went looking for one, but there is nothing that I could find except what the design is based on.
I think he's a Fantastic Four villain.
Maybe. I thought we'd had a thing on him. I could have swore we looked him up, but I could be wrong.
As they ride along, Leia, she's enjoying a little snack, and Freck asks again where they're from. And in unison, they both reply, "Tall." And Freck replies, "Oh, good people out in Tall. They pay their way and listen to the Empire." And a couple things here. This Freck's design is based on a real world creature, the star-nosed mole.
Yeah.
And considering where he leads the mole is kind of right on the nose. Mm-hmm. But it could also work with the mining aspect of Mapuzo, right? Secondly, it's not to be confused with Planet Tall, where C-3PO lost his arm, causing that need for the new red one in The Force Awakens.
The red arm. Oh, yeah. Right.
So Tall, Tawl, is an agricultural moon, which they are on under the authority of the Empire. And new addition, as it was only mentioned in part 2. Whereas the other one, Planet Tall, Taul, is the one from the 3PO one shot. What does he ask her here? Oh, yeah. But, good people out there, they listen to the Empire.
I just found it funny, I mean, the whole haha on the nose with the mole thing. But if he's just a genuinely law-abiding citizen, man, is he in for a shocker here in a couple of years when the Empire really drives home their pro-human agenda.
Yeah. But maybe, based on, it's like a hand-painted one on a banner. So it's not an official thing. Maybe he's just like the equivalent of,
Yeah,
a,
maybe.
a redneck driving around with his Union Jack on the top.
Oh, yeah, with a Confederate flag or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah. But in response to that, Leia says, absolutely, we love the Empire. And Freck replies that it's nice to meet like-minded folk. Nothing wrong with a little order, right?
Again, that whole being on the nose thing, and it's going to come up here in the next couple seconds here when they ride in the truck.
Yeah. But just as they're going, the transport comes to a stop, and there's a group of stormtroopers on approach. And Freck calls out, "Transport late again?" And the trooper, they know him. They respond, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, hop aboard and sit down, meet my new friends." And Freck asks where they're coming from. And the lead trooper, he tells him, "The higher ups are moving us around. We're looking for a Jedi." And Freck remarks, "Well, I hope we're not in any danger." But the second trooper says, "Nah, we'll find them. We always do."
We always do.
Yeah. So
they're implying that they've found a Jedi already?
Maybe.
They're the RCMP.
Yeah.
we always get our Jedi.
Yep.
Yeah, we just can't hit him with a blaster.
As they ride along, though, one of the troopers stares at Obi-Wan and asks, "Are you a miner?" And he replies, "No, I'm a farmer from Tall."
Yeah.
And the trooper asks, "Well, why are you out here?" And Ben replies, "It's a long story." But the trooper fires back, "Well, it's a long way." And then Leia, she jumps in. "He brought me here to see the place where he met my mother before she..." And as she trails off, Ben picks it up, telling the troopers she's not with us anymore.
Okay, this is where it gets really, really good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The delivery of the whole "oh, we lost her," so spot on. It's so good, and it's about to be contrasted.
Yeah. And he tells them, it's been a very difficult time. And the trooper asks if he has any info about the Jedi, but he says, "I wouldn't know one to see one." But then Leia jumps in again, asking, "Are you even sure they're on this planet?" And here's where Ben slips up and he says, "Leia, I'm sure they know what they're doing." But the trooper, he picks up on it immediately, questioning, "What'd you call her that? I thought her name was Luma." And he recovers quick, though, telling them that was her mother's name. And sometimes he gets confused. He goes on to tell them that sometimes when he looks at Luma, he sees her mother's face. And that is pure, genuine line. He's staring right at Leia, and he's thinking about Padme. And then the trooper, he looks away and tells the troopers, "We all miss her very much." And gruffly, the trooper tells him, "Well, you notify us if you see anything." And they hail Freck to slow down the transport, and they get off.
And that's where I kind of go oh, they were doing so good in that moment right up until he calls her Leia.
Yep.
And as soon as he does that, the dialogue turns, dare I say, cartoonish, to the point where I swear one of those stormtroopers was Steve Bloom.
Yeah.
Zeb Steve Bloom. How stupid can you be? We always get our Jedi. Oh, well, if you see anything, you report it. Dude, you have enough suspicion to take these people in.
Yep.
Ugh. Anyway, minor criticism.
Minor.
I'm sorry. I needed to get that out.
It's all good. But as they depart, Ben, he breathes a sigh of relief as they pull away from the troopers. And Leia stares up at him, and when Ben questions her, what? She replies, "You knew her, my real mother, didn't you?"
And now it gets good again.
Yeah. And he tries to play it off. "Oh, no, it was just a story." But Leia is quick to point out that the whole time she's known him, he's been hiding something, lying to her. And then asks if Ben is her real father. And he turns to her and he says he wishes he could be, but no, he's not. And then Leia, she goes on saying, "Sometimes I try to imagine what her father looks like." And Ben tells her, "I know that feeling, that as Jedis, they're taken from their families very young, and he still gets flashbacks of his parents. And he remembers a baby. He thinks he has a brother."
I think I had a brother.
Throwback to that original novelization.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, that's are we talking about? Oh.
Maybe.
I mean, it's such an obscure line.
Kenobi. I knew
Such
it.
an obscure line, though. And I mean, the movies already blow that one wide open. And I mean, people who have never read the novelization of Return of the Jedi, huge moment here that may connect that book to the series is that in that book, Obi-Wan Kenobi is revealed to be Owen Lar. So yeah. So canonically, Ben does have a brother out there. So at least he thinks he has a brother out there somewhere.
But he doesn't dwell on this long because he relays that, he joined the Jedi and he got his new family, just like Leia. And
what a nice way to make an adopted kid, though. Try to normalize that.
Yeah.
I thought that was actually quite nice.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this too. It's super interesting. There's nothing that leads us, of course that would be a heavy spoiler, but there's nothing in the original trilogy that leads us to believe that she thought she was adopted. There's the line where she doesn't really remember her mother, but you don't know whether she's speaking about her birth mother or her adopted mother. But
no, you don't.
This sort of reveals that she's pretty much known the whole time. They didn't, and that almost makes it like a little more suspect that she wasn't looked into a little harder. Like, like Bail Organa, like, for
the senator for Alderaan and his wife have adopted a child.
Right. Right around that time that Padme died, and I'm not saying it's, but there's other people looking into the problem besides Anakin or Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Masamita being one of them. And it's just strange that not only is, he's got the, he was almost the, he was up for Supreme Chancellor at one point too. Like he was in the running before Palpatine gained power. There was 3 in the running. So he's a very high profile character to have just adopted a daughter. And it, for that not having to be sort of investigated by like maybe the ISB or anything like that seems a little bit, but maybe he's that powerful that, that money can wash hands.
Maybe.
Well.
Maybe.
Because they do say that, Bail, they don't let her out too often.
Yeah, we get that impression that she's never, other than like Dayu, she's never left Alderaan before.
Yeah. But it's known within the family that she is adopted because the cousins are.
Yeah, that's definitely made clear.
More importantly, she knows.
Yeah.
Which is, not a lot of adopted kids find out that early.
No, I didn't find out until
right.
Oh my God, I was maybe I was around her age, but 10, 11. Yeah, 10 or 11, maybe even 12.
But their conversation is cut short, and Ben notices that they're fast approaching a Imperial checkpoint. And he hails Freck, let us off, but he says, "Don't worry about it. I know these guys." And Freck steps off the transport as a trooper stands guard in the tower, and he makes polite conversation with him. But when the trooper asks who Ben and Leia are, he kind of leans in and whispers, "They're 2 strays that I picked up. You might want to have a look."
Mm-hmm.
And both sensing that they've just been sold out, Ben and Leia kind of glance at each other, and he pulls up his hood as 2 troopers come around the back of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And like, I love the look that they both give each other, like, "Oh crap." But
I actually expect what happens in this sequence is not what I expected.
No.
I fully expected that this was going to be another reconnection to the Force, and we'd get a Jedi mind trick here. I thought he was going to have to talk his way out of it because I certainly did not think it would get violent.
Well, what comes up here? Ben sits cloaked, staring forward, and the trooper states that there's not a lot of reasons to be out in the outpost today. Why are you here? And he responds that they're just trying to get back to Tall. They were here visiting family. But the trooper, he beckons him, step out of the vehicle, and radios in to initiate Protocol 23. And Ben and Leia, they depart the vehicle, and as he helps Leia down, he unclasps the holster on his belt. And as soon as they're off, a Viper probe droid rounds the corner and approaches. And the troopers tell him, raise your head so the droid can identify you.
Yep.
And as the probe droid focuses in, He raises his head, hand on his gun. The droid flashes red, having made a confirmation.
Yeah.
And the Orbesh that flashes up on the screen is a bit confusing. Some of the characters are upside down and or backwards. Best I could translate was TNG CHEC DLT. And this is my weird theory one. Maybe this could be a dig at Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, okay.
So when you Google Star Trek Protocol 23,
Yeah.
the first thing in the search that comes up is the Omega Directive, which is basically a destroy at all costs.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I know I could be a bit of a stretch, but TNG check delete,
Yep.
could be it.
Interesting.
Stranger things have happened, but on the alert, Obi-Wan shoots through the sensor, taking out the droid, and then he shoots another trooper and takes another one as cover, shooting another one in the leg, and begins to make his way around. So,
Apparently the self-destruct was not armed for this one.
no, it wasn't.
It didn't blow up like the one on
Mhm.
Empire.
He got the drop on it.
Yeah.
But as he rounds the side of the vehicle, Freck is shocked by the blaster fire, and Obi shoots the gate guard and then takes Freck as cover as he starts firing at the trooper on the tower. And he hits his mark, and the trooper falls to our first gruesome death this episode, and he's cut in half by the laser gate.
Quite spectacularly, I might add.
Yeah, you get shot and then cut in half.
Proving
Didn't
that
even
the high
make-
ground really doesn't mean anything.
I was going to say, didn't even get a high ground joke in there, but
Seen a couple memes. That's my line, and then the guy's line. And I saw the best, and I wish I could remember the artist, but I saw the best action figure recreation of that scene. It was so beautiful. Somebody cut a stormtrooper in half. You crazy buggers. But it was beautiful, though. Wow.
Nice. But after he does that, he knocks out Freck with a pistol to the back of the head and turns to find one trooper still alive, and he's got Leia as prisoner. But Ben,
the whole put it down.
Yeah, put it down. And as he goes to lower
I'm
it,
putting it down.
yeah, Leia, she closes her eyes, and lightning quick, he drops that last trooper with a shot.
He's come quite a ways away from our last gunfight, where he was continuously pinned down by the two bounty hunters.
Yeah.
He bullseyed that guy.
Yeah.
Who had a hostage.
Yeah. Super
True.
close range, though. I mean,
True.
we couldn't have done that, but a Jedi.
No.
Maybe force assisted.
Put it down. It's already down, man. Hey, down. That's what I'd be doing. It's down. It's down.
But Leia, she runs to Ben as they move for the gate, and it won't open. So Ben uses that universal key and blasts open the control panel. They run on, but they don't get very far before another troop transport arrives, and three more stormtroopers. They got them in their sights. The Imperial officer with them strides down the ramp as one trooper barks, put your head on the ground.
Yeah.
And they've got him to rights at this point. The officer takes aim and shoots, but takes down the three troopers.
It's that's what Indira Varma.
Yep.
That we saw back in the trailer, and we had that whole argument over how convoluted Imperial rank is. Turns out it doesn't matter.
Yep.
At least not in her case.
Nope.
Because she's not who she is dressed to be.
Well, kind of. The Imperial officer tells Ben to hurry as the troopers had sent out a transmission, and he stares at her all confused, and she tells Ben that she will take them the rest of the way. And holding Leia by the hand, they follow her. Meanwhile, over at the Fortress Inquisitorius, they plot a star chart to Mapuzo. And the Orbesh here, it reads, first line is Mapuzo.
Yep.
And then it kind of mirrors what they're saying, but it stops because she says it's a type 2 mining planet.
Okay.
The Orbesh starts to read type TA or FK. And then the rest of it just kind of falls to gibberish.
Are those maybe other planetary names or something in the same system or something?
Maybe. Or here's other stops on the way.
I have no idea.
Yeah. The fourth sister, though, she comes in and tells, you were right. But the fifth brother is quick to point out Obi-Wan destroyed the probe, but not before the signal got out. And Reva, she moves to inform Lord Vader, but the fifth brother tells her he's already been informed.
Yeah.
So again,
Is that a knock that's saying he's done it? He's gone behind her back now,
Yeah,
and
totally.
he's been the one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
they're both
They
jockeying.
keep cutting each other's grass for sure.
Yeah.
And then Riva turns back and quietly tells the fifth brother, if you want, take the credit, go right ahead. But we both know who will be standing right by his side when this is over.
Right.
And again, in this scene, both of them, the third sister and fifth brother, are right next to that seat of the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, the whole jockeying for position, vying for power.
Both in pursuit of that title. But I can't help but think, though, Riva is after something else as well.
Well, I mean, there's still the question of what she thinks she's entitled to.
Yeah. But as Riva, she leaves the room, the fourth sister instructs the remaining officers to lock down the planet as the fifth brother sneers in Riva's direction. And we cut back to Mapuzo and find some stormtroopers basically abusing the locals, kicking them out of the way.
Right.
Down an alleyway, though, the Imperial officer leads Ben and Leia, telling them the coordinates were right. She was on her way, but they left before she could get there. So it seems patience would have served them well this time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was thinking something here too. Leia's constantly innately using the Force, like, and I don't mean like, you know, floating through space Mary Poppins style. I mean she's innately following the will of the Force. So when she flags that guy down, that's exactly the path that they needed to take to hook back up with this Indira Varma's character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's neat, and you can watch her sort of intuit the right thing to do constantly.
But
used to call, you know, in the West End Games RPG, which we're fans of, they used to have that every character had a wild die that no matter what you were rolling for, you always included your wild die because it was this indicator of luck.
Right.
But of course, you know, there in Star Wars, there's no such thing as luck, but there is the Force, and the Force can gently manipulate things, which is why every character, whether they were a Force user or not, got to roll this thing. Yeah.
They adapted. After a while, you could spend Force points, very similar in the updates.
Spending character points or Force points. Yeah, character
That's
points
right,
and Force points. Yeah.
But she tells Ben that the Empire has everything locked down. And when Obi-Wan questions if they can still get out, she tells him, you know, I've arranged for a pilot to get you off world, but he's not scheduled to leave for a few hours, so you'll have to lay low for a while. And then she moves off to make sure the coast is clear. And Ben looks up and sees what looks to be a Zeta-class cargo shuttle departing from the port on the top of the hill.
Well, we know where we've seen those before.
Yes, we do. These ships have been around a while, but they made their visual debut in the 2004 Star Wars Battlefront game.
Live action debut? Rogue One. Yeah, Rogue One.
Yeah. Turning his gaze back to street level, he sees the officer peek in the door and then enter. And he turns and he finds Leia is clutching Lola to her chest. And he crouches to tell her, you know, everything will be all right, but there's something else troubling her. The gravity of the situation may have set in finally, because she tells Ben she didn't mean to run away.
Yeah.
She thought it was just fun to go off in the forest, and she didn't mean for any of this to happen.
Of course she didn't.
No
kid would ever wish something like that.
But he tells her, you know, it's not your fault. And then she replies that she misses home. And he tells her, you know, you'll be there soon. Across the street, though, the Imperial officer peeks back out the door, giving them the all clear, and they rush over and make their way inside. And they tell him, you know, it's a droid outpost. No one comes in here.
Yeah.
And Leia, she stops short as a mining droid is standing in front of her. The officer tells him, don't worry, he's on our side.
He's on our side, yeah.
His designation is Ned B.
Ned B, who we saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
Who we thought might have been Kumail Nanjiani.
Yep. But
Theory was way off his rocker this week. Sorry, Theory, if you're watching us. Speculated that was Wrecker.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, well, you're just swinging for the fences now.
Well, I mean, I'm going to talk about that.
We thought it was Echo.
We can't. Yeah. I mean, are we much better?
Yeah, we thought it was Echo.
Did you use that same shot? You did. Okay.
We do have it.
Okay, we'll get to it. All
Yeah.
right.
Oddly, though, the Orabesh on his shoulder has his listed as Ned something.
Ned something, not necessarily B.
Yeah, because whatever that last character is, it is not,
not a
an
B.
Orabesh B. Yeah, but
Ned, maybe.
maybe. So Leia, she says hello to Ned, who leans down, and then she introduces Lola as well. And the Imperial officer tells her that Ned, he's just a loader droid. He's not programmed to communicate. But Leia asks, what if he's got something to say?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, so again, back to that good manners thing, but also knowing, he's
She's
still
already
being
established that,
communicate.
that whole the cousin, like, you don't have to be polite when you're addressing a lower life form, but that's just not her.
No.
Yeah, that's
She introduces Lola with the droid's full designation too. LOL 059.
5'9". Yeah.
But before they can ponder on the question, Ned B moves a shelf and opens a door to a hidden room and ushers them through. Inside, the Imperial officer breathes a sigh of relief and removes her hat.
Yep.
Ben asks, "What is this place?" And the officer tells him that it's a safe house and they've got them all over and they're trying to link them up across the galaxy. Some call it the Path. And she also tells him that he's not the first Jedi to pass through here.
No, he's not.
The network itself all leads to Jabim, and from there they get new identities and get them out. Leia asks if it's all Jedi, but she tells her no. These days, the Empire is hunting anyone who's force sensitive, even children. Ben, he spots some graffiti on the wall, and he announces, "Quinlan!" And the officer tells him, yeah, he helps out smuggling younglings from time to time. Quinlan Voss is another Jedi who survived the Purge, hailing from the planet Kifu, bit of a maverick, and was renowned for his retrocognition.
So we've lost Hank. Not sure if he's
I'll be back.
still there.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'll be back. I just got a work call and I just ignored it, just waiting for it to clear.
Okay,
I apologize. I can hear you. I'm there in spirit. I'm a force ghost.
Yes,
Excellent.
you are. Yeah. So I mean, Quinlan Voss.
Mm-hmm.
Quinlan Voss. Obviously, we saw him back in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. But he is I guess he's a Legends character technically. Technically.
Also appeared in live action in The Phantom Menace.
Before he was Quinlan Voss.
Yes.
Before he was Quinlan Voss, he was just some guy in the crowd, and then they said, "Hey, he's looks cool. Let's make him a Jedi."
Exactly.
Promotion. Leia asks, what he had written on the wall, and Obi-Wan relays, "Only when the eyes are closed can you truly see." And she says, "See what?" And then he says, "The way."
The way, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird for a character who has been portrayed as being so brash.
Well, and this is 10 years on now too.
That's true.
So let's dive into the scene a little bit, because there's some crazy stuff going on here. First of all, the reference of the path. If you guys aren't familiar, if the fans aren't familiar with the High Republic novels and comics, the path is a secret set of hyperspace lanes used by the antagonists of that sort of series to jump around the galaxy and create mayhem and terror and make money and do all kinds of seedy things. And I think perhaps that the path that they're, because they like the path,
there's a double meaning here.
And I think maybe that the Jedi sympathizers have co-opted that long lost secret hyperspace route to like an underground railroad. Is that where we're headed?
Right.
And
Jabim.
Absolutely. Which would be Canada, right?
Yeah. So I want to touch on that for a second, because that I thought, how ironic that in the wake of all the racist crap that was slung over the last week, that we get an episode that specifically evokes the Underground Railroad. Wow.
Yeah. Take that, you racist trolls.
Yeah.
And a little, some more background on Quinlan Voss. I guess there's a novel written after the Clone Wars ended, because there was an abandoned Quinlan Voss Clone Wars arc that when they were canceled, they never got around to. It never made it to the 7th or 6th season when Netflix took over. Right. But in it, oddly enough, him and Asajj Ventress have a romantic relationship, which also,
What?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And in fact, Dooku briefly turns Quinlan to the dark side and tries to make him his apprentice, and Asajj brings him back before Dooku kills her. And that is her canon death. And he survives, crushed. They don't really explain. He's just forlorn and crushed by this event at the end of the novel, and sort of just goes off into the galaxy. And now here we are, picking up with his name scratched into the wall 10 years later. It's pretty cool. And fans of the Clone Wars will remember that he was instrumental in a few episodes, and him and Obi were kind of chumming around. He sort of got more in common with Qui-Gon and Dooku, if you will, than the rest of the Jedi, always operating on the fringe. A lot more like the Jedi of the High Republic, actually.
I want to talk about, we can see in the one part of the slide over Tala's shoulder, we can see a lot more stuff scribed into the wall. There's a lot of names in there.
Oh, buddy.
Do you want to talk about some of the ones that you picked up on, Hank?
So I don't even know if I can remember the list, but
I'll see if I can.
Call it. I know that Valen Halcyon was one of them.
That's hugely important for fans of Star Wars Legends.
Yes. Another one was Rwanda. Sorry. I can't recall.
Here, I'm trying to roll back and try to find it here.
Yeah.
So they're all Legends names, essentially.
Right. All from the same novel, too. Children of the Jedi.
One of them is a concubine of the Emperor.
Right.
Yeah.
And so interestingly, that since these three names are all children of former Jedi in the presence of the child of a Jedi, right? Like this almost normalizing what Anakin has done.
Roganda Ismarin.
There it is, Roganda Ismarin. And there's a third one as well. All characters from this Legends novel, Children of the Jedi.
Jin Altis.
There it is. Spelled just like Din Djarin.
Yeah, Din Djarin. Yeah. DJ, yeah.
Very interesting that's in Legends. That's almost normalized. Jedi having children, falling in love, having children. When it's such a huge no-no, in the at least in the prequel era when we catch up with them. And I saw today an article, and I took a still of it. I couldn't make it out, so they may have been grasping at straws. But somebody swears that Caleb Doom's name is also scratched in the wall here.
Yeah, I saw a reference for that as well, which I didn't see. But the Halcyon thing really got me because
big time.
Nija Halcyon is not only is he a famous Jedi Master, he's also the grandfather of Legends character Corran Horn. Corran Horn, of course, who is joins the Rebel. This is one of those characters who has the full treatment. Like he's the Luke Skywalker of his own story, really, in the sense that he goes from being a member of the Corellian security forces to joining the Rebel Alliance, where he becomes a member of Rogue Squadron. And then he trains under Luke Skywalker and becomes a Jedi Knight and goes on to be a Jedi Master in his own right under the new Jedi Order. So
and you had sort of speculated maybe we'll get to see, maybe that's why they're dangling that carrot, because of with this Rogue Squadron movie coming up set in that era. That would be a great way, and wouldn't that tickle all the Legends fans like we love to be tickled?
Even if it's something as simple as Rogue Squadron check in, and you get that everybody checks in, Corran Horn checking in, that would be
enough.
Cool.
It would be very cool.
Yeah. So the official Star Wars Underground Railroad. I'm very happy about that. I'm very as a fan, as a woke fan. And
just as organized as sort of the way that Palpatine is pulling strings trying to round these children up. At the same time, there's a group out there that's defending these children and pushing them through. It's very, very. I love it. Actually, I love it a lot.
this idea of safe houses that are not linked parallels the whole idea that we saw in Rebels, that even Rebels 4 years out from the events of A New Hope, and the Rebel Alliance is still not a cohesive organization. They are independent cells
Right.
that are working, with similar goals, but they're not
Moving the
politically,
same direction, but not together.
they're not politically aligned together, as it were. And so, here we are 10 years out, 10 years out,
Mhm.
and we're seeing sort of these parallels.
So,
Yeah, it's very sharp writing.
back to our moment here. Just as they're pondering on that, there's a loud knock on the exterior door, and the officer and Ben, they pull their sidearms, and there's two troopers knocking at the door, demanding to be let in. And Ned B, he moves to the door slowly and opens it. The troopers come in and search the room, and as the lead trooper questions Ned B, he doesn't respond. And the trooper just yells louder at him. But the second trooper asks, "Why are you yelling? It's just a loader droid. It can't talk."
Yeah.
And little do they know, he's clutching a hammer behind his back. And satisfied there's no Jedi, the troopers leave, and Ned B relaxes his grip on the hammer. And this is the scene we mistook in the trailer for a possible Echo cameo.
So, first of all,
trooper armor.
I just want to say that we were not the only ones to fall for this one.
No.
That begs the question, is this one of the best misdirects in Star Wars television ever?
Maybe.
It's pretty great. I don't even know if they meant it on purpose, but it's pretty great. That leg, I would swear up and down.
The back
98
of that
times out of 100, that looks like a
clone armor
leg.
plate.
We were speculating on the color, highlights on the color of the armor. I mean, they had us hook, line, and sinker. If it was intentional, spot on. Kudos.
Yeah. But again, there we were thinking, yep, it's a clone. And if it's a clone, who could it be? Mechanical hand. It's Echo.
Oh, we did get the mechanical hand part.
No,
right.
Dummies. It's Ned B.
It's Ned B.
Ned B, the load lifter.
It's not Wrecker with a helmet
on. That's awesome.
But the rogue officer, she sighs a breath of relief, and as the troopers leave, but it's short-lived because she radios ahead to the pilot telling them, we've been compromised and we're on our way now. She gets rid of her Imperial uniform and switches to civilian garb. And Leia asks her, is it scary pretending to be something you're not? And the officer replies, yeah, sometimes. She then straps on a gun holster, telling Leia that she wears it a certain way so it's faster on the draw.
Cross draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Leia, she kind of lights up. She's like, will you teach me to shoot someday? And Ben, he kind of ushers her across the room saying, go get ready. And then Ben asks, why do you do this? And she tells him that when she signed up, the Empire stood for something else. But by the time she realized what they really were, it was too late.
This is interesting because this is somebody who bought the buy-in.
Yeah.
The buy-in that we saw, because we saw both sides of it in season 1 of the Bad Batch, with how it was presented as the Empire. It's the new and improved. We're new and improved, and this is going to make your life better.
Yeah, come sign up, get your credits and whatnot.
But if you were in a separatist world,
yeah,
this is the new and improved, and you will comply.
Yeah, deal with it.
And she clearly comes from the former and not the latter.
Yeah. There's a couple of pieces of Orabesh on the wall in the background here too. Nothing too special. One of them reads Yo-Yo, another reads Danny Boy, and there's one in Huttese reading VNR.
Yo-Yo and Danny Boy.
Yep.
Well, Danny Boy is a song. Do you think Yo-Yo is a reference to the cellist?
Maybe.
I don't know. And what is there? What else?
VNR written in Huttese.
In Huttese.
Yeah.
VNR.
Yeah.
Oh. Anybody got a better grasp of Huttese than me? Want to take a stab at that?
Don't know.
No, I don't know either.
But she goes on to tell Ben that she's made mistakes, and Ben counters her with, we've all made mistakes. And she voices that it's hard to imagine that Obi-Wan Kenobi made any mistakes, but he tells her again, it's just Ben now.
So now it's Ben using that line, not Bail.
Yep.
Right? Because that's exactly the line that Bail used. We've all made mistakes.
Yeah. She finally introduces herself as Tala, and she's played by British actress Indira Varma, as you said. She opened the door, revealing a tunnel into the mountain, and Ben, he kind of doubles over, reeling, and Tala asks him, what's wrong? He puts his head on, but grabs his head, and then he heads for the door and peeks through the slot. Tala and Leia, they join him, and peering into the night, at the end of the street, there's 3 Inquisitors joined by a batch of stormtroopers, and the 5th brother bows his head as we hear that all too familiar breathing.
It's almost a callback to Alec Guinness on the Millennium Falcon when Alderaan is destroyed. Like he holds his head and he's almost like he's feeling sick.
He's been sensed.
Like,
yeah.
And it's that same thing
too. In Vader's presence, both Ezra and Kanan feel incredibly cold.
Yeah. And when you couple the line with, it's almost as if, a million people screamed out in fear.
Yep.
Well, there's a reason why the fear part of that is sort of the through line here, which we're about to find out.
Yep. Lord Vader, he strides down the street looking left and right, and he pauses momentarily and stares in Ben's direction. Ben steps back from the door, and in an effort to draw Kenobi out, he turns and he drags a miner right out the window into the street and proceeds to force choke him in the air.
Yeah.
And as the miner struggles to breathe, his teenage son runs out, but without hesitation, he force throws the boy against the wall and then snaps his neck.
Yeah.
He then drops the corpse of his father right beside him in the street. And this is far and away the most ruthless version of Vader we've seen on screen so far. Yeah.
Is this a good time to bring it up?
Yeah, we'll give it a couple more minutes.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Back inside, Ben tells Leia, go with Tala, promising, I'll be right behind you. And he pleads with her, promise me you'll get her to Alderaan. And she nods, and Tala runs off down the tunnel with Leia. And Ben returns to the door just to see Vader drag another miner down the street using the Force. And tossing that miner aside, Vader throws away a crate, revealing 2 more locals hiding. And Ben, he kind of rushes out and finds a way outside, and he starts watching from behind a stack of crates.
Yeah.
And in this horror moment, Vader's attention, it just snaps right to his position. And luckily, when his attention snaps there, Ben has already moved, but Vader walks forward to inspect, and Reva moves to follow. But the 5th brother admonishes her, saying, we're not to engage, but we're here to sweep the town.
Yep.
So then she moves forward, and the stormtroopers fall in behind her as some of the locals come out to check on the poor miner that got dragged down the street. And elsewhere, Ben, he's like running through a darkened quarry, and he doesn't get very far until he finds himself face to face with a dark figure. The red lightsaber ignites, and it is Vader. And there's like horror on his face. And Ben pulls out his lightsaber, but rather than ignite it, he runs off looking for escape. And Vader's booming voice tells Obi-Wan, you cannot run. And out of reflex, he lights it up.
Yep.
And as he swings around looking, because he doesn't see anything, he's still searching the darkness. Vader approaches him from behind. And Ben, he stares at him. He says, what have you become? But Vader replies, only what you have made me.
Right. Okay. So I want to go back and I want to talk about this version of Vader, because this is kind of what we alluded to back at the beginning of the show. This is the most ruthless, diabolical, evil on-screen version of Vader that we have ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, hear me out on this one and think about it for a second. We know it's inferred. It's inferred that Anakin Skywalker murdered younglings, but it's never shown.
No.
It's never shown. And yes, this scene in Rogue One, everybody went bonkers for, was amazing, but those were all soldiers. He is murdering civilians.
Yeah.
That's evil on a level that we have never seen in Star Wars before.
Yeah.
Never seen it. And I expressly do mean seeing it.
Right. Yeah, because it does occur in the comics.
Yeah.
And what when you think what compounds it, what makes it infinitely worse than just murdering civilians is this is 100% to draw Obi-Wan
It's
out.
bait.
Yeah.
It's
You
Ben
know,
bait.
Vader doesn't just walk around murdering civilians. This is cold and calculated. He's like, okay, there's some tools here that I can do. These people are shovels that are going to dig Obi-Wan out of the ground for me.
This is the Inquisitor's speech in the
Yeah.
first part about their
Yeah.
code compels them.
So, there's things about Vader that we've seen in live action before, and just because they're his own officers or other military soldiers, and there's a sort of a you expect a level of you may die at any moment in combat.
Yep. Yep.
He's snapping necks left, right, and center for minor mistakes. So we established that Vader has no respect for life in terms of that, right? So it tracks very well. It's visceral. It's shocking. We weren't ready for that. And like I say, you become when you don't have that comfortable John Williams soundtrack, you become untethered. Like how that it almost grounds you in the scene. Without that, it becomes so chaotic and truly frightening. And there's when we were talking back and forth before the show ever aired, after the first trailer dropped, and I was reading interviews and articles and trying to stay spoiler free, but you were almost on a media blackout, which is I commend you, because that's super disciplined. One of the things Ewan McGregor said about filming this scene was that he hadn't seen Hayden in the costume yet. And
really?
That in this scene where he's holding the lightsaber and Vader comes up from behind him, he said he wasn't acting there, and you could see it in his face. He said, "I was terrified like a little child."
Right.
And you could see it, and I mean, so was I. I mean, it really caused a tremendous amount of anxiety.
There is something to be said about just the entire way that it was shot. That sequence of Vader coming out of the dark, and all you get are the lights of his belt and the chest box, and then the visage of him coming out of the darkness is just like, oh my freaking God.
The shadows are coming to life.
Yes, absolutely. Everything about it. The red lenses. Can we talk about the red lenses for a second?
Sure.
Because that is so close to A New Hope that a part of, I think, what made, I mean, we all kind of joked about, and if you look at the right scenes and the right angles, you can sort of see behind the lenses.
Yeah.
Those red lenses are part of that. That's the first time we see Vader. He's got those red lenses. And I actually really like that in this version.
Yeah.
That it adds to the imposition of his person.
Yeah.
How like horrifying he is.
Right.
Yeah.
And because of that, again, choosing not to fight, Ben puts out his blade and he runs into the darkness.
He's doing what every kid did as a kid, where flashlight.
Yep.
We used a flashlight as a lightsaber. He's using a lightsaber as a flashlight.
Yep. Back in town, though, the Inquisitors and the Stormtroopers, they're rounding up all the inhabitants. And Reva, she notices Ned B coming out of the droid shed and moves to investigate. And we snap to inside the tunnels, and Leia, she's pleading with Tala, go help, citing that I'll be fine, but Ben needs help. Back inside the shop, Reva, she's snooping around, and she spies something behind a rack of droid parts. And then we cut back as Ben is rushing through the quarry. And out of the darkness again, lightsaber ignites, and Ben ignites his just in time to avoid a strike by Vader. And both hands on his saber, Obi-Wan is in full defense mode as Vader keeps pushing forward. He tells Ben, the years have made you weak.
Yeah, this is all one-handed Vader too. Eh?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Back in the tunnels, Tala stops, looking conflicted, and again, Leia turns to her and says, go, I can make it on my own. And then we flip back again to the droid shop, and Reva's using the Force to move that rack of droid parts away, and she reaches for that hidden door handle, And in the tunnel, she relents and says, Leia, keep running. The pilot will meet you at the end. And Leia gives her a short hug.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
She just met her, but she's pretty optimistic about the whole thing. And
I kind of wonder if this is, like what does Tala represent to Leia? Like, is this another reflection of the leader that Leia will become? Oh, can you teach me how to shoot like that?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe.
Strong female lead.
Yeah, strong woman. Yep.
I think it's also like an affirmation too, right? Like, because the mole guy turned out to be not on their side.
Oh, yeah.
Tala now, like, proving that optimism paid off.
Right. Right.
You can trust there are good people left. So, the two, they turn and run off in separate directions. And back in the quarry, the battle continues. And it's clear that Vader's just toying with him at this point. Again, as you say, he's striking with only one hand.
It's all one-handed.
And it's all Ben can do to repel his attacks. And after a few more lightsaber clashes, Vader force throws Ben backwards. And as he advances, he yells, "You should have killed me when you had the chance."
Should have killed me when you had the chance.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit more about the duel here. It's not much of a duel to speak of.
No.
This is the first one, I guess, of the two that they had said prior to the show debuting that we were going to get. And wow, lots of people really upset with this online that Ben is not faring as well as they thought he might.
Saw one article that said the worst Star Wars episode 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi beats Last Jedi as worst Star Wars ever.
Oh,
why?
That's awful.
I know. I people are just talking to hear themselves now.
I mean, on one hand, you have Obi-Wan, who has not picked up a lightsaber in 10 years, has basically cut himself off. And then you have Vader, who is like full bore right into the dark side.
You have to think that, despite having the Inquisitorius at his disposal,
he still gets his hands dirty.
He's been training the Inquisitors. He's still training. He's still active.
Yeah. And has been for 10 years.
Do you think that in that 10-year period that he's been on the hunt himself, that he's been out in the field doing what the Inquisitors are doing?
I would think so.
I would think so
the
as
Jedi
well.
For that very lightsaber.
Well, and there you go. So, I mean, give the man a break. And also, let's give some props to Hayden, who finally gets his day, his due in the suit, and gets to actually do something in the suit beyond no.
So I read an article today. The stunt guy, I can't recall his name, came out and he said basically, Darth Vader's played by 4 people. James Earl Jones, obviously being the voice.
Yeah.
Hayden is definitely in the tank and does a lot of the up close acting and stuff. He said, when you see full bodied Vader or Vader dueling, that's either the stunt man in the duel or the stand-in actor, if you will, who's a 6'7" giant beast. And and the article goes on to say that when the direction, like he was saying the lines at first and they were overdubbing everything, right?
Yep.
And he would sit with Hayden and say the lines the way Hayden wanted him to say them. It was very well coordinated. But they said he was getting so angry that the mask would shake, and they're like, no, Vader shouldn't shake at all when he's getting angry. So they had to like tone him back. And they said that they were actually, because they were using voiceovers, that the director Deborah Chow was giving him. They came up with these hand signals for him to when he wanted him to move a certain way. So it's very much like, and maybe this is going to piss people off too, but I'm starting to like pissing these so-called fanboys off. Yeah,
the haters.
But he's very much an amalgam of people, the same as Din Djarin's
Din Djarin.
Yes.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, and you know what? That's okay.
Absolutely,
I'm invested. I've bought into it. I don't know how you can't.
And it's not like it takes you out of anything. Like,
no, exactly.
One cohesive scene.
Well, then my hat goes off to whoever is the stunt performer, because the one-handed style, there's a lot of deep lunging, and like the foot movements are very Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's
I like it.
beautifully done.
I liked
And
it a
it's
lot.
probably a mix of all three of those things so quickly that we really can't ascribe one,
One to the
actor
other.
to one particular scene. It's probably
Right.
well edited, and when he's looming over him, I know that Obi-Wan sort of takes a knee and is aback, but he's got that, like, that scene where he's fighting Ahsoka in the Sith temple,
Yep.
where he's like 10 feet tall.
Yes.
He feels that big here.
Yeah.
He does. He really does.
Yeah.
And you got to imagine what Ben, that the physical, again, as I said, that imposition of like you're there. I don't want to say underfoot, but under assault, and you're fighting for your life, and this person is just so physically more than
Right.
whoa.
Domineering.
Right. He's basically fighting Grievous again. Those mechanical arms are incredibly powerful, just on a physical level. Never mind the dark side of the Force just coursing through him.
Yeah. So I mean, now's the time, right?
Yeah.
Now we're at that time.
Because we brought up the line, you should have killed me when you had the chance.
There's that line, as you just said, you should have killed me when you have the chance. And I saw this amazing question online that made me want to bring it up on the show, because Vader is motivated by, we're not 100% sure what he's motivated by. He's been looking for you for a long time, Obi-Wan. Is there a difference between you should have killed me when you had the chance because now I'm going to kill you, versus you should have killed me when you had the chance because then I wouldn't have become this freaking monster?
Yeah.
Yes. But I watched it again with that in mind, and I thought it's the delivery of the line would suggest that he's playing it straight.
Yeah.
There doesn't seem to be like a softening or anything to his voice. I thought about it though, and Lauren brought up an interesting point. He's about to cause Obi-Wan a great deal of pain, and
yeah,
is some part of Anakin trying to turn Obi-Wan?
That crossed my mind as well. I want to tie back the line to the other line. I've become what you made me.
Right.
Does that add any more nuance to it now? Like, you should have killed me,
right?
Because if you had have killed me, I wouldn't have become this thing.
Right.
And now that you've made me this thing, I'm gonna make you into me.
Could be.
Yeah. Certainly it adds gravitas. It more machine than man now. Well, who did that? Who did that? So
that's true.
The Emperor.
Is there a certain sense of self-loathing in what Vader says?
There could be.
So, this is why I can't, or I harp on it a lot. People are probably getting sick of me, but read the comics, guys. He is so self-loathing, it's not funny. At this point, he's not obsessed with finding Luke Skywalker yet, because Luke's 10 years old. He doesn't even know it exists.
That's right.
He wasn't really all that obsessed with finding Obi-Wan. It was sort of a background thing. He's got the Inquisitors to suss out the Jedi. That's the Emperor's order. What he's obsessed about is still the thing he was obsessed about when we knew him in Revenge of the Sith. And that's finding a way to bring Padme back.
Right.
So through the comics, you get all this crazy stuff. Like the reason that he chose that place on Mustafar to build that castle is because that's the spot where he got defeated by Kenobi.
Okay.
He builds the castle just off to the side of it, and when he goes out in that scene at the beginning to look out the window, I forgot to mention it while it was live. He does that routinely in the comics, and he'll stare at the spot where he fell for hours and just ruminate on the hatred.
You mean on the shore of the lava flow?
Right.
Oh,
he'll just stand there and just ruminate, just stare at the spot where he fell. And because there's
wait, are we saying the lava flow over the cliff at the foot of the castle is the same flow as where the power plant was?
Correct.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. And there lies a dark force nexus, they call it in the comics.
Okay,
And,
like the cave.
right. And
Yep.
The Emperor really, sort of tricked him into this, because he offered Vader any world he wanted to be his own home world, to be his throne world, and suggested that it would be Naboo, because wouldn't be Naboo
Really?
yeah. And
Yeah.
Vader was like, no, I want Mustafar, because that's where my pain lives, not knowing that was the Emperor's ploy the whole time, because of the Dark Force Nexus.
Okay.
So, and I know I'm going a little deep here. Read the comics, kids. The Vader finds a mask belonging to a Sith Lord called Momin, from an ancient Sith Lord. It's not really covered in legends. And Momin is an architect and an artist, and he puts the mask on several different Imperial officers, and this Momin character sort of possesses them.
Oh,
and
okay.
They build this castle.
Oh, wow.
It's basically like an ancient Sith Lord designed the castle for him.
Right.
And in the bowels of the castle, there's a dark side nexus, and he literally came super close to resurrecting Padme.
Oh, wow.
Super close.
Oh.
Crazy stuff in the comics, guys. Crazy stuff. So this is still Anakin Skywalker obsessed with finding Padme. And whenever he's not being directly tortured by the Emperor, and I mean, the first few issues of this comic, you get to see the Emperor treat him like a child.
Yeah.
And spank him like a child. Like force lightning. Everything you step out of line even a bit, force lightning. Like, just torture him and torture him and torture him. And the whole time he's obsessed with bringing Padme back to life, because this is the reason he turned to the dark side, and that's not lost on him yet.
Okay. Yeah, he turned to try and save her.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still his mission.
Oh, well, then, yes. So, self-loathing, big check.
The most tragic villain in the history of villains.
Big time.
Fueled by hate and
Well,
revenge.
thank you for playing that out with me, because I really wanted to sort of dig down on that a little bit, and I think that paid off quite well.
I think so. Back to our moment at hand, though. Ben, looking for any way to escape, swings at a piece of equipment, causing a rush of smoke, giving him a brief opportunity to make a getaway.
Another horror moment.
Yep.
Skywalker maneuver.
Yeah.
Back in the droid shop, Reva opens that hidden door and enters, and she spots a Jedi crest carved into the wall, and momentarily she looks haunted. It doesn't last long, though, as rage builds up, and she knocks a bunch of items off the table and presses a button on the wall console to open the tunnel door, and then she stares down that tunnel. There is some extra stuff on the wall near the crest here.
Yep.
In Huttese, there's some characters that read T and U, and in Orabesh, it's partly obscured, but it reads something ALIN and BLACCON.
Okay.
Now, I Googled this, but I couldn't come up with any type
Yeah,
of reference.
that's not looking familiar to me either.
No. But that's
what's
there.
I think her reaction to seeing the Jedi symbol is very indicative that we're very close to the idea that she
was one of those young,
that she blames Obi-Wan for her fall as well.
Yeah.
Well, when you are the face of when you're the face of childhood abandonment, no wonder she wants him.
Right. Even regular people are like Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Like this Enduro Varma's character, Tala, what kind of mistake could Obi-Wan make? He's got a name in the galaxy. To those that know, he's the face of the Jedi, if you will.
Yeah.
We catch up with him, and he's running through the quarry using his saber for light. Comes to a dead end, and behind him, Vader just stalks right in. And using the Force, he topples a container of that Ventrium, spilling it across the ground. He then proceeds to Force choke Ben, raising him into the air. And as Ben struggles for breath, Vader leans down and ignites the Ventrium.
Dips the lightsaber in, yeah.
Creating a lake of fire.
And have we ever seen this before?
Yes, we have.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, still choking him, Vader declares, "Now you will suffer, Obi-Wan." and using the Force, he slams him down into the flames and slowly drags him forward. And as Ben screams in agony, Vader tells him, "Your pain has just begun."
I'm not gonna lie, I actually thought they were gonna go all the way with this, like that they were gonna burn him to a crisp, like they did in Revenge of the Sith.
And he would have to have a back to tank back in
Well,
his cave.
right, but I mean, sure, and the writing would have had to go a different direction. But in the moment, I thought they were going all the way with it.
That it could
That was
happen.
terrifying for sure.
Yep, it was
For sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, he's just in, like, you see on his face, he's in
Turns
agony.
out it didn't even singe his hair.
You had to go there, didn't you?
Yeah, well.
Apparently,
Somebody's
Jedi hair
going
is
to.
fireproof.
Somebody's going to, right?
Well, there's a thought here. Because as Tala appears on the mound overlooking the scene, she sees a group of stormtroopers arrive, and violently Vader tosses Ben backwards and extinguishes the flames.
Well, there, I got another point I want to bring up on that. Maybe we're going the same direction with that.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, he was in control of that fire.
Absolutely, he was in control of the fire. And let's not mince words here. If he could put the fire out, how the hell did a blaster bolt to the Ventrium, reigniting the flames, prevent them from bringing him in?
True. I got that same
I think
point
that's the
coming up.
only other than the cartoon dialogue from the stormtroopers. That is the only other.
So
real
you
complaint I have
hit
from
the
this
nail on the
episode.
head with he's controlling the fire.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah.
very first scene, it's on his terms.
Yeah.
So another thing
It
from the
will burn
comics
him
is
as
that
much as he wants.
he doesn't like fire. It's very Frankenstein, but he's not a fan of fire. And a couple of times it's used by Jedi to be his hubris or other.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
That does make sense.
It works.
From a narrative standpoint, it makes sense.
It works. I also thought, he could have just picked him up and pulled him through the fire.
Well, there is that as well.
A few things there. But there's another thing going on here that I think is really important. And I think that we're focusing on the fact that we've got a full-blown Vader here. We've seen him kill kids and stuff. And I think that in the presence of Obi-Wan, he's more Anakin than he wants to admit.
You think so?
I think so. And I think that he lets him go.
You think there's a part of him that still has that sense of like camaraderie, of kinship, or
I don't know if it's like a cat playing with its food, he
definitely seems like he wants to draw it out as long as possible.
Well, and then
the whole line of your pain begins.
Yeah,
right.
This is just the beginning.
And another thing is that the fear that he's going to come back and it's going to be worse next time is going to it's going to really
weigh heavy on him,
on Obi-Wan, and this is what Vader wants. This is bringing him to the brink of destruction and just going, okay, go ahead, I'll find you later. Is really playing into creating a situation where Obi-Wan is constantly in fear, and that's what Vader wants.
Well, he's definitely planted that seed.
Right, you watch the way the Emperor drinks it in Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
When Anakin's turning, the way he drinks the pain, he's like, and so that's fuel for them.
We got a comment here from Sean. Me too. He's scarred under that robe from the fire, and chances are he could be.
I firmly believe that. I think we're going to get a sequence, possibly the next episode, that will show him not as healthy as he was at the beginning of this one.
Yeah. But Vader, he commands one of the troopers, bring me Obi-Wan. But Tala, she takes aim and blasts that trooper, and on high alert, the rest of them spin around trying to figure out where the shot came from. She takes aim at a generator and hits it, reigniting the Ventrium.
Yeah.
Which apparently burns much hotter when it's not being force controlled.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
She hit the source too. He kind of spilled a little on the ground, if you will, and she nailed the
container.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as the flames, they're burning higher now, like out of control. And Vader watches Ned B appear and carry Obi-Wan off to safety.
Ned B, who's apparently blaster proof.
Yeah.
They're bouncing right off of him. Yeah.
Yep.
Got to be a sturdy droid for mining, I guess.
Can I ask one question?
Yes.
Where's Obi-Wan's lightsaber?
On the ground. He's
got to get it back somehow.
Does he have the wherewithal to grab it on the way out?
Nope. because it was dropped several feet as he was floating in the air.
True.
And then he was dragged through a fire. We got that. We get an action figure reveal this week. We got a Ben Kenobi action figure for the show, actually, and it's I can't remember the subtitle. It's basically some kind of station. I presume some space station. The action figure,
Tibon station.
Tibon station comes with a lightsaber. Looks like Ben's lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
Are we just gonna?
He's also wearing the blue shirt. So
blue
I
shirt.
think Tibon station is where they get the cargo freighter on Dayu.
Yeah. So now, are we just going to suspend disbelief if he just happens to have it in his possession next episode?
I think so.
I'm not. I'm going to complain about it. I'm complaining about it now, and I will complain about it later.
Force grabbed it on the way out.
No way.
Well, it'll play out.
Yep.
The writing's too good this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll play out.
But back in the mining camp, the stormtroopers.
Wait. I got one more thing.
All right.
Only because the only reason I even bring this up is because of the line shared between Anakin and Obi-Wan about this weapon is your life, and like Anakin, who is like notorious for chewing through sabers, who's always got to get a new one or make a new one, and now it's reversed. Ben,
Yeah. Ewan McGregor pointed out in an interview that he loses his sabers in the prequels more times than Anakin does.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one more. He goes through one more saber than Anakin does in the prequels.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back in the mining camp, the stormtroopers, they continue to abuse the locals under the watch of the Inquisitors, and word has just reached them that, and the fourth sister relays it to the fifth brother, they've lost Obi-Wan. He had help, and now they're supposed to go sweep the planet. And gruffly, the fifth brother, he states, now we'll never find him, as he storms off.
Right.
So I'm going back to the previous episode, being this close to it. I think he's just more, like we were close, and now we got to continue this hunt again because it's kind of been reignited. But elsewhere, Tala, she tells Ned B, go get the transport ready because we need to get Ben to Jabim. And Tala leans in and tells Obi-Wan, you're going to be okay. And since there's a good chance we might be there next episode.
I had medic vibes in this, by the way. You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, does she think he's dying?
Well, he's definitely banged up.
Is he swirling the drain? You're going to be okay. That's something that I have said to people when I thought that they were
not going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's possible. Because he is sporting some severe burnage there. At least he's got his limbs intact, though.
Well, there is that.
But
he had the low ground.
He did.
Tell me some more about Jabim.
All right. Let's see here. It first appeared in the Dark Horse comic Star Wars Republic issue 55, published July 2nd, 2003.
All the way back to the Dark Horse days.
Yeah. So
awesome stuff.
And I don't know if this part's canon because it is the Dark Horse stuff.
No, it wouldn't be now.
Falling under the Legends category. But during the Clone Wars, Jabim was a world that the Galactic Republic basically ignored until it was too late. And because of the lack of assistance from the Senate, the Jabim Congress would side with Count Dooku's Confederacy of Independent Systems.
Interesting.
And of course, the Republic didn't want to lose the mines and whatnot to the enemy, so they stationed a bunch of strike forces on a nearby planet, Handooine, and they were ready to deploy at a moment's notice. Eventually, though, Jabim would suffer the same fate as so many other planets, being overmined for its resources.
Well, that's interesting. So I guess that's something to pay attention to when we get to Jabim. If it's littered with old Confederate tech,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like if there's a bunch of droids or something hanging around or repurposed battle droids,
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how much of that stuff. I actually like when they get these references and they start pulling them forward, because now it's one thing when it's a character. Now we're talking about places. So now the inference of this was a Confederate world.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, like, how much are they going to? Yeah, exactly. Are they going to adhere to that? Who knows?
Yeah.
If they don't, they don't. And that's fine too, but it'd be cool if they did.
Yeah. So next we catch up with Leia, and she's running down a tunnel, and she finally reaches the end, but pauses in the shadows, and a voice tells her, don't be afraid and come closer. And Leia asks, are you the person I'm supposed to meet? But they reply, unfortunately, they couldn't make it. but I'll take you from here. And the camera turns and we see a silhouette of the third sister. It turns back and pans out to reveal that the pilot, now slain, is on the floor.
It's not lost on me that he's got Bodhi Rook vibes with the goggles on his head.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you get a close up of that helmet?
I did not.
That helmet's got some pretty familiar looking lines on it.
I did not dial in on that one.
No, you don't see X-wing pilot helmet vibes in that,
A little bit.
or precursor to.
Yeah.
But yeah, we cut to black, and
that might have been
that's
my
it.
only problem with the episode, I guess.
How did she get to the end of the tunnel?
How did she get around her?
Yeah.
Other than that, man.
Presumably the tunnel
thing. Yeah, it has more branches.
It's a network of tunnels, and she was able to double down and turn around. And
technically, if there's only one port within that mining camp, as long as she went there,
well,
the
that's
tunnel should
true.
come out
That is true. And I mean, if it's a droid access point where the droids would just march out to the landing platform, but again, with it having the whole like, all the stuff scratched into the walls.
And Tala got out and back to Obi-Wan without being intercepted by Reva. So
we got another Facebook comment coming in saying that she's been there before. Is that possible?
Good call. That's a really good call.
That is entirely possible.
That's a very, I don't know who that was, but very, very good call. That is entirely possible.
Maybe what was haunting her when she stared at that wall was she's passed literally.
I mean, it is an Imperial controlled mining world. I mean, if they've been funneling Jedi or other Force users through there for some time, there is entirely a possibility that she has been there before.
Mm-hmm.
Why she wouldn't have put the two ends of the tunnel together previously, I don't know. But I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, that'd be a cool little twist for sure.
I do like that. That's wow.
Yeah,
part 3.
Part 3.
And we ran a day later this week, so we're actually closer to part 4.
So you don't have to wait as long.
You're not going to have to wait as long.
They're hitting rapidly.
They are.
Have you heard the rumors?
Rumor for another season.
For another season, fueled by Ewan McGregor's interview where he said, "I'll do it again." And now the rumors are that they've rewritten the finale or reshot the finale to accommodate that. But I mean, this thing's been in the tank for nearly a year. That actually doesn't ring true to me.
To pull that off would be.
So we do know a few things. It's the highest rated streaming thing on Disney Plus ever.
Highest watched debut of a series on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Sorry, Mandalorian.
Well, I mean, Mandalorian season 3 is probably going to get. I mean, all the Mandalorian fans are coming back for it, so it'd be interesting to see how that holds up.
Right, and then Ahsoka's probably going to kick that one in the can, and then I mean,
but again, I mean,
it's the Renaissance.
I don't think Disney's ever released any numbers, so we don't know how many people
that way. No, we don't know. I know I've watched it about 40 times, if that counts. Swelling the numbers up a bit.
This episode I've watched twice for sure, and I feel like I should watch it again just as a get ready for this week's episode.
Yeah,
I mean, a couple of times I just all I did was I'm going to watch this just for Vader, and I watched it like and skipped fast forwarded
just to the Vader sequence.
Watching the studying the voice for a bit, and then watching the body language, then watching the. I mean, the first time I watched it was just fear, like it really did its job, and then I got to analyze it, and I mean, I was super happy. The fact that people are going crazy. First of all, I have to say that I'm really proud of us and most of the fandom. Because it is a small minority that is being these jerks. They're a very vocal minority, and that's unfortunate. But I did a couple of Facebook posts on different groups that I'm in, and
as did I.
Both, one about Reva, one about Satine, and the one that I did about Satine got almost 9K interactions, 500 shares, stuff. People are really like positive things, they love a love story. They love the character of Obi-Wan. They love the character of Satine. And the support post that I put up for Moses Ingram also got 8.5K of, there's a few people that were being ignorant, mostly people that were ignorant in the comments.
Yeah.
But when you look at the likes and the hearts and the cares and all that stuff,
it all outweighs the comments.
Yeah, because people are just commenting to hear, so. And I'm starting to, if I can interact intelligently and not be a bully, I'm not in the mood to bully people, and I'm not in the mood to set somebody straight who obviously is just doing that not to be set straight, just to start a fight. I'm not interested. But
when I see it, sorry,
no,
I was gonna say, when I see a Facebook post that is it was somebody who had reposted the official Star Wars post that defended Moses Ingram,
right?
And it had 35,000 reactions.
Yes.
And at the time that I saw it, 3,400 of those were laughing emojis.
Just
and
crazy.
my first thought was, there's 3,400 people I need to block.
Right.
I don't need you in my life.
No.
People you disgust me.
Yeah, and that's what the comments were for the most part. I mean, it slowly changed as the trolls lost their steam. Then the real people started coming out and saying, oh no, like we 100%, people were backpedaling on the racism, trying to go, no, I just didn't like her acting. Well, that doesn't even stand up, because her acting.
This is the one
fantastic.
I like the most. This is the one I like the most about that. Did you see the racist comments? Like they didn't, like, you think she's making this up? Right.
Yeah. And you can see them. You can go on her Instagram and look at them.
Yep.
And and she even did a video where she's like, I'm not even sure how to accept that I need to do this, because I'm not the kind of person that eats crow.
Yeah. What did she say? She's like, y'all are weird.
Y'all are weird.
That's what she said. Y'all are weird.
Right? You love something so much that you hate it, and it just doesn't track. But I want everybody to know that, like, ignore that stuff if you can. Don't let it get under your skin, especially,
don't be part of our
time. No, don't. No, Star Wars.
Dragged down to
the best thing that they've done in 10 years is to come right out and say that sort of crap doesn't have any place in Star Wars. And when I see the actors coming out, the Ewan McGregor coming out,
the video they did from the car,
brilliant stuff, and that's what we need from our people. And I said in a post, I don't know if you saw the comment, I responded to one comment and I said, I believe that the comment was like, this is all orchestrated. It's fake. It's just you're defending something that doesn't need to be defended. And I said, look, I don't agree with you, in fact. And after what and I put we in quotation marks, is like we, the fandom, did to Jake Lloyd, I'm not going to let anybody do that to anybody ever again. If I
Jake Lloyd, Ahmed Best,
Kelly Marie Tran,
and even to some degree, right? And to oh my Lord,
John Boyega.
Thank you, John Boyega.
Right.
Have we learned nothing?
Right. So basically, I'm not going to allow that on my watch. If I see it, I'm going to stop it dead in its tracks.
Yeah, and I mean, as part of the community where we like to embrace and we like to support and we love to be in the galaxy far, far away. I mean, it's not something that it can be hard to talk about, but it's something that we have to talk about, and we have to.
We look like three old white men, but we have everybody's back.
Yeah. I said it in my own way in defending Moses this week. I said this, and this isn't just to Moses, this is to everybody, and just remember that everyone is someone's someone.
Yeah, man.
Love, not hate. All right, guys, I think we've hit all the points we wanted to hit. Hopefully. Did we?
I think so.
All right,
I think so.
Another great episode.
And before you know it, we're going to be...
Yeah, I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, I cannot wait either. Things I want to see going forward. I don't have any real big predictions for the next episode. The Grand Inquisitor must return. He must return. He will return.
He will.
I have every confidence that he will, but I would like to see him return in the series. I think that will satisfy a lot of complaints. Want to see Ben get his lightsaber back.
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, if this was a duel number one, I cannot wait to see
Yes.
the round 2.
Like I said to one of the young fellas on Facebook, don't worry, he's going to take Vader to school.
Yeah, Vader's about to get schooled.
Right. And I really like the rumor, and it's not really a spoiler because we know he's been cast. We just haven't seen him yet. But I heard a pretty strong rumor that O'Shea Jackson Jr. will be Quinlan Voss.
Really?
Oh, very cool. Very, very cool.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. Like I said, we'll be back sooner than later. We got an episode coming out here in 2 days, which means you'll catch us next Sunday.
Fantastic.
Same fandom time, same fandom place, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, however you might be watching or consuming us. You can always catch the replay on YouTube at your leisure over at Sawcast Productions on YouTube, and you can get our audio show wherever podcasts are gotten. And that's it. Until next time, my friends, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
I'm Hank.
We'll see you
The
guys
Force will
on
be
the
with
next one.
Always.
Always. Bye for now, guys.